Hello and welcome back to Take a Sip podcast. I'm Leche.
And I'm Tito.
And Tito, I know this is another morning edition of Take a Sip for sure. So I don't know what you're drinking, but I'm drinking coffee for sure. Regular coffee.
I mean, I'm sticking with my iced coffee, homemade iced coffee.
Homemade iced coffee? Yeah, sounds good, man. We did a morning edition, I think, because I guess we had some available time. I think we wanted to do a morning episode for some time now. So we just, we just did it. Per se, we're just in it right now. So we have a couple of stories, kind of like headline stories a little bit that we want to talk about. Our first story is kind of funny because they kind of threw it out of nowhere. But I believe you told me it was part of the MTV Movie Awards or MTV Awards, pretty much.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah. So obviously MTV has their annual awards where they talk about the best host of certain TV shows or the best cast or live action or movie or music or whatever. And sometimes if there's certain celebrities, like we know in a lot of these award shows, they'll always put up an in memoriam segment. In memoriam as in when Stan Lee passed or Robin Williams passed or whatever major celebrity. The host this year for the MTV Awards was Nikki Glazer. Super funny comedian.
Yeah.
She can be seen as a little controversial, but she doesn't give an F. And that's partially what I love about her. But she's super funny. Like she's in a lot of those celebrity roasts that you see also. So she was the host. They did their thing. But before the MTV Awards went live or whatever, what is it? On May 12th, Ellen DeGeneres announced that her talk show will no longer continue after this next season. So we know that Ellen obviously had some controversial stuff come up in the past year and a half.
Yeah.
About how she's not this. She preaches about smiling, rainbows and sunshine, loving loving everybody, but she ended up being like celebrities and other staff members and guests of the show ended up coming out saying that she was really rude. She was almost aggressive like.
Yeah. Like she had like a big ego and stuff like that.
Yeah. And so with all that, she came out saying that the show will no longer continue after this season. Literally 2-3 days later, on May 17th, the MTV Awards happened. The whole in memoriam section came up and it went over some of like shows or things about like Scott Disick and his dating age pool that's been also very tiptoey. The show Love is Blind, like all those like wedding, like live casted shows, you could say.
Yeah.
And the last thing that came up was the picture of Ellen, and it's saying Ellen's Reign of Terror, 2003 to 2021. So
yeah, that definitely stuck out to people.
Yeah, again, it's Nikki Glazer, so it was some comedic effect behind it, and it came out as funny too because it's like, when you do an in memoriam, you remember the good things about somebody. You celebrate what was happening. when it's literally saying Ellen's reign of terror, you're celebrating something bad. And that was the joke if you didn't catch it the first time. But it was just...
It definitely caught people off guard. It was kind of awkward probably at the moment.
Oh, 100%. And it probably caught a lot of people like extremely off guard. But I mean, it was how can I say it? Like, people were saying that Ellen backstage was just full of like racism and bullying and harassment in other ways.
Yeah, she was notoriously mean to people.
So to see them just grab something so negative and turn it into a joke really just caught the internet off guard if you haven't seen it. But I mean, that's really for that. I just thought it was something like funny to put up and like talk about really quick. I mean, what do you think?
I mean, yeah. I mean, if I watched it last night, I would have been like, "Oh, what the hell!" Like out of nowhere, that came up. Like, yeah, it would catch me off guard for sure if I ever saw that. If I did see that live, for sure. But you even explaining the story to me, I was like, "Oh man, like, damn, I can't believe they actually did that! Like, holy crap!" the tenacity to even freaking, say something like that publicly, especially in an award show.
Oh, I know.
So that would catch me like, oh my god, like the embarrassment, dude.
Let alone the MTV award shows. It's probably one of the bigger award shows there is out there besides the obvious Tony and Global Awards or whatever, the Emmys and stuff. So to do something that risque in one of the biggest award shows out there,
she's never gonna be hosting. Yeah, they're like, she's out.
Yeah,
either that or they're like, oh, they loved it. Like, who knows, man? Sometimes it'd be awkward for those people.
Yeah,
they don't know what to do until ratings come in.
And speaking about being awkward and waiting until ratings come in, I mean,
yeah, it's a good segue.
If you're not a Bostonian who listens to morning radio, this really isn't going to affect you much. But I mean, for us anyways, who born and raised right here, morning car trips with our dads and stuff, listening to the morning radio.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone
listens to it.
Oh yeah, there is a morning show called Matty in the Morning on Kiss 108, that is hosted by Matt Segal.
Legend.
Oh, super. This show's been on air since 1981.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's been through what?
30 years.
Three different generations. Yeah, three different generations listening to this guy. Just picture that, dude. This guy's been on radio for shit, dude.
So imagine 30 years of just a guy and his co-host or his assistant or whatever, just shooting the shit in the morning and talking about like popular topics and all that stuff. But just recently, Matty walked off his own show. I mean, literally in the middle of it. It was live on air when he just walked off. Yeah. Now, why did he walk off?
That's the real question.
Yes. So, recently, Demi Lovato came out on being non-binary and changing her pronouns to they, them. So for people who don't know, because Leche, you probably wouldn't know, non-binary.
No, I know.
Oh, you know. Okay. So non-binary is someone who doesn't
I just get confused on if the point for me, we'll talk about it. Explain it. Sorry.
Yeah. So non-binary is someone who doesn't really identify as male or female. They're somewhere in the middle that they could like flow whichever way they want. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I I guess. I'm sorry. I don't know that
Okay.
much. We gotta do more research on that.
Yeah, well, the pronouns
Definitely correct us if we're wrong on that.
well, I'm pretty sure that's what it is. And then their pronouns are normally they, them. Again, that's because they don't identify as he, him, she, her.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So then, Matty obviously is a much older white gentleman, who's trying to keep up with the trends and stuff. And he doesn't hide it. Like during his shows, he's very, if he doesn't know something, if he doesn't understand it, he will mention it. He will say, I'm old. I don't get it. My kids have to teach me.
He's very vocal about like, hey, like if I don't understand something, you got to explain it to me.
Yeah, which is why for me, being a queer person in the Boston area, that's why I enjoy listening to him, because he does bring up these conversations between
he's very open to it,
the older and the younger, and he's literally for everybody. He's very independent, so it's not that he's Democratic or Republican. Mm-hmm. It's just a simple conversation with mostly himself, but he has other people that he could bounce ideas off to, like have a little back and forth to his conversations. So in the middle of him bringing up these topics, the topic of Demi Lovato coming out, he gets a text message from his bosses saying, oh, don't talk about this. Move on to something else. And that's where the controversy lies. Because now, how is he supposed to run a show
if they're going to tell him what to not to talk about?
Exactly. If he is now going to get censored over having a simple conversation on air.
Yeah, exactly, dude.
And this is where he brings up that it's almost like someone running into the middle of just a regular road. Because you're going to get hit from one way, from the older Republican, Democrats, very like hardcore conservatives in a way. And then from the other side, you're going to get hits from the younger, like what's the word? Political correctness type of younger generation. So it's like if he talks about it, he gets hit from. If he talks about it, he gets hit from one side. If he skims over it and doesn't really hit the topics, even though that's something he's known for doing, he gets it from the other side. And again, if it's something he's been dealing with for a while, and this was probably just the straw that broke the camel's back.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, man, I've been listening to this guy for so freaking long. Like, I don't see what he did wrong, even talking about it or mentioning it.
Yeah.
If anything, it's a good thing that he's talking about. I don't know what word for word he said, correct us if he says something like that is invalidating, but for sure, like if he's just bringing the point like, oh yeah, she came out as this and that, just telling you the news and then what he thinks about it, whatever. Like if he says something mean about it, then yeah, I would not agree with him. But if you're just mentioning it and be like, oh, like that's cool that she came out as that, that's interesting, that, if you're just saying it just to point it out, then it's fine. I don't see anything wrong with that. He's just validating her like, oh, now she's this, there you go. Right. I don't see anything wrong with that, in my opinion.
No. And again, it's, so he just started the conversation. He was barely starting the conversation, apparently.
Like just getting into it, right?
Yeah. And Matty in the Morning is a comedy morning show. So obviously he did it in the context of some jokes. I'm not sure what the jokes were. But all I do know is that he was starting the conversation up when he got the text messages of stop it, move on. And there is a video, if you are on Twitter or even on the Boston.com, where it did, during the article page, there is a video that someone, I guess, did record of the moment that that Matty walked off the air. And it is the Twitter user is Mike Saccone at Mike Saccone TV, if you want to watch it or whatever. But I mean, yeah, I mean, it's just hard to really talk, because keep in mind, like, even during the presidency of the Orange, he had to bring that up. At one point, he was going to have to bring up conversations about Trump.
Yeah, there was no way not to avoid.
And even then, unfortunately, like, there are Republicans in Boston. So if it is a comedy show, the older Republicans are going to defend Trump. And then if he's not talking about Trump, the younger generation that does listen to him is now calling him unwoke, or he's not woke because he's not bringing these conversations up. Like, you're never going to win. And you're eventually going to get irritated, especially during the pandemic that we just had, like dealing with stuff like that. Like how, like, I get it. And 30 years for a radio host is crazy time.
Yeah, dude. I still don't see, like, I don't know. I think this is like a bigger problem though. This is more of a, like, because it starts off with like this one guy in this radio, but I think it's much bigger than that. It's the whole censorship shit, like what you're not allowed to say or what you're allowed to say.
Yeah.
Certain things, or what, like, if you can't get political because you're not a political, like, figure or anything like that, like, people are going to, like, turn away from you or go against you and stuff like that. It's very hard. It's a very fine gray line that, and I think he crossed it a little bit on their end, but in my eyes, I don't think he crossed it yet. Unless he said something negative, and that's, you know.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to go back and listen and see what he actually did say. But yeah, like you said, I don't think he did anything wrong. I don't think he said anything wrong. Because like he's an older gentleman. Like, he's not gonna know everything, because I mean, look at the internet so much. Look at technology. Technology within the past 20 years alone has been, like, shooting crazy. Sorry, he's been like 40 years. 1981 to 2021. That's 40 years on the air. So, I mean, 40 years on air, and look at how much technology has advanced just in the last 10 years. Now, quadruple that. Like, it's been crazy. Like, we've barely got internet going, like, throughout the 90s and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So
just to see that this guy survived that long, like, through all this generation of technology, just literally, like, unfold before his eyes. And he's still a radio host. Mm-hmm. Like, it's kind of nuts to me.
I remember, like, other radio shows that I used to listen to with my dad in the car, and then over the years, like, those slowly died off or had to, like, get shut down or whatever. And we were always able to turn back to Matty in the morning and listen to him. So I don't know. It could have just been in the moment type of walk-off thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I believe Matty also came out saying that he was just done with it, and he was just going to walk away from it and cool his head off. But most likely it does not look like we will be having Matty in the morning on air.
Sucks, dude. That's
again.
Nuts, man.
Yeah. So.
Another legend bites the dust because of censorship.
Yeah.
I mean, it was bound to happen. In my
100%.
opinion. I mean, no offense, but he's getting old. The new generation doesn't like the type of talk that he does, probably, and stuff like that, which is unfortunate. Missed opportunity for the younger like listeners that actually enjoy him, because he is a good host. Honestly, like he's a respectable, like literally, radio star in my opinion. But for sure,
yeah.
But I mean, if he does end up leaving, like 100%, then yeah. Unfortunate, legend will be gone.
100%. Because like you said, if you haven't heard any of his shows, if you're not a Bostonian or you are younger, he did a lot of conversation starters. Whether he has his own views or his own opinions about things, it was always a conversation starter. In the morning, and he's had his fair share of arguments with the other hosts, with the other co-hosts that he has or guests or whatever, but they know it's just a conversation. It's like me and you could go right now about what's the best Pokemon out there, and we might argue over who the best Pokemon is.
We'll agree to disagree because literally it's our opinion.
Exactly. Like we understand, like I'm not going to make you say that Empoleon's the best starter Pokemon out there.
Yeah, exactly. Well, because I would disagree. Be like, oh, no, it's freaking Abra, or something like that,
I said starter, but yeah, sure, we could go.
Whatever, dude. It doesn't matter. Exactly. That's the point I'm trying to get at. It doesn't matter.
Abra should be a starter.
Yeah, dude. Imagine, dude. Holy shit. That would be my pick, 100%, dude. It's what is a starter? Holy shit.
Abra, Ghastly, and like a Bellsprout are your new starter Pokemon.
Oh, still Abra, bro.
Really? Dude, I would go with Abra. Ghastly because Gengar was my
fucking Alakazam will clap fucking Gengar's cheeks, bro.
Let's go. Get on Pokemon right now. Let's do this.
That switched so fast. Dude.
Get on Pokemon Go. Let's go. Your Alakazam is in that
Gengar. Of changes right there.
But yeah, I mean, there is a very, very low chance that Matty might come back, but it is seeming very unlikely within the next few days.
Unfortunate, dude.
Yeah. What about
this next story is kind of like the opposite. It's very fortunate.
For us nerds, we're going back to nerd news now.
And for DC, if this actually fucking, like for Warner Brothers DC, if they actually managed to do it well as well. So the news here in this article is they're making an animated movie for the Injustice Gods Among Us, pretty much. And it's been officially announced that they're gonna actually do it, and DC Warner Brothers is gonna like do the animation for it and whatnot.
All right, first of all, yes, it was officially announced, but it was just very like sweep under the rug type of announcement. Yeah, that's why I was like, oh,
man, what does that mean though? Yeah, like you would think this is bigger news for sure.
Which I mean, for us, it is. So they announced it during the announcement of Batman The Long Halloween Part 2. And they just slowly threw it in there like, oh yeah, Injustice Gods Among Us is getting a movie adaptation. But here's the Batman thing. And it's like, no, like you can't do that.
Like you can't do that. What are you doing?
Yeah.
I think it's because they barely announced this, so we won't even see anything related to that. Probably for like another 2 years, probably. I'm assuming. But that's pretty exciting though that they're making that. And it's an actual like animated movie, dude. Holy crap! I mean, the video game was fucking dope. Like both of them, for sure. Like story wise, especially the first one. The first one was very interesting story wise.
Let alone the cutscenes alone for Injustice 2, for Injustice Gods Among Us, the cutscenes of the video game. It's longer than 2 hours. I believe it's almost 3 hours.
Almost 3 hours, yeah.
Worth of cutscenes. So they could technically cut that into 2 movies. If they get the right dialogue, the right script going, and the right voice actors and stuff, like you can make 2 movies out of this alone. Because there are good places where you can stop to then continue the second movie from that cliffhanger that you left off in the first one.
Yeah. I think like a good, like pretty much how the video game ended, pretty much the first one. Like, oh, like, you know, spoiler alerts for people who haven't seen or played, you know, Injustice Gods Among Us, where Superman gets arrested and they should end off right there, him getting arrested and whatever. And then open up him breaking out or whatever the consequences years later that happened for Gods Among Us 2 or Injustice 2, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they could potentially split this into a two movie thing if they play their cards right and if the animation's good. You know, there's a lot of variables for them to go off of that. But man, the potential if this actually turns out really fucking good, dude.
Because it is an alternate universe of what is happening here. So, I mean, yeah, because they've already done a whole bunch of thing with the whole Doomsday movies. Because again, for DC, their animated movies are great.
Are top tier, dude. They're really
not
fucking good.
Not their live versions.
Not the DC EU. Not that. Definitely not.
DCU, yeah. DCU.
DCU.
But yeah, I mean, if this is getting turned into a movie, I can't wait to see it. I want more information. Right now, there's not really a set release date.
Like I'm saying, it's probably just in the talks of making it. I don't think it's like out there, like, oh, it's going to happen, you know, the next year, like, you know, type of thing. I think it's in the, like, oh, it's on the board, you know, you can say right now, like, oh,
yeah,
we're going to release this. Don't know when, but we're going to release it. Trust me.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing, though. If they're just like slightly throwing it out there and seeing who pays attention or not, I think they have a lot of it going already. You get me? Like they might have like the animations and the costume designs and the words, like the script all set. They're probably just waiting to actually be able to do like voiceovers and the voice checks with the actors. So for me, I'm probably like even IGN, as they put it, I'm giving it probably till the end of the year, and I'm pretty sure
like a trailer or something, or when it comes out. I don't think animation's that fast, dude. I don't think animation's that fast.
But if they're announcing that they're going to make an adaptation, they would not announce it this early before they even have some sort of animation going.
We might get a trailer with it. If we get a trailer before the end of July, then yeah, it's definitely coming out this year, like 100%. It might come out in October, like all we know.
Probably,
you know?
Yeah.
But if we don't get one, and if we get one like mid-August, it won't come out until early next year. That's 100%. That's my guess. You know, that's not like or anything like that. That's usually how like trailers for movies and stuff goes. Whatever. It literally comes out like 4 to 5 months after the trailer is announced. So unless you want to be like fucking Apex and literally no announcement, it just fucking comes out of nowhere.
That's true. Very doubtful though. I feel like they're gonna have some sort of organization going into it.
I mean, hopefully. Yeah.
All right, and you brought up also that Mass Effect Legendary Edition.
Yeah, so this is pretty much like the Master Chief collection for Mass Effect. It literally just brings all. I think this is all 3 games. No, I think it might be the first one only. I'm not sure.
No, I don't know. All 3.
Oh, okay. So it's all 3 pretty much brought up to like HD, whatever, you know, like remastered. Like textures are better, the graphics are better, and all that stuff. So people were hoping it's more of a like, oh, like, you know, not a good thing. Like, people like love the nostalgia because it's been 15 years since like the first launch of the first Mass Effect. So people really enjoyed like the first 2 Mass Effects for sure. And the remaster just brought them back like, oh shit, with the new graphics and stuff like that. But I think the third one is where people really didn't like at all. Like when it originally even showed up, they didn't like it at all because of how the story ended. It ended kind of on a cliffhanger still.
Ooh.
And they never resolved the story. But even in this Legendary Edition, they brought back Mass Effect 3. And I believe it didn't come with the DLC that the original Mass Effect 3 came with, like with the multiplayer and all that stuff. And people were like really criticizing it because it didn't come with the new multiplayer and stuff like that. I mean, the old multiplayer and shit like that, like how Halo does with the Master Chief Collection. How it even brings back like the multiplayer for each game and stuff like that. So if you want to go and play Halo 2's multiplayer, you could go into that specifically. But Mass Effect didn't get multiplayer until 3, and it didn't come with that. So people were very disappointed with that, and they saw it as like a problem and stuff like that. Even with the price tag, that it has for all 3 games, I think it was like $70 or $80 or whatever.
Yeah,
like they said it wasn't worth it because Mass Effect 3 multiplayer was really good when it initially launched and people enjoyed it. So them not having that now, how did they put it? It's very like a loss for them for that game. No matter how beautiful and nostalgic it is, it wasn't worth them buying it. So
I get it. I mean, yeah, if one of your games or some of your games is included with multiplayer and then you remaster it and you're not going to have multiplayer again, BioShock 2.
Yeah, that's a good example.
I mean, we only played it a few rounds. Yeah, it just seems a little weird. Like, why not update it? Because then after, like, let's say they do update it, now how are they going to get it into the game? You get me? Without it being its own separate game.
Yeah, unless they want to do the douchebag round and sell it.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
yeah.
And again, if it is Mass Effect and there are so many people hyped for it, give them everything. Don't half-ass it and just, for lack of a better terms, don't just stick the tip in. Just do the whole damn thing.
Don't just tease, bro. Just put that shit in. But honestly, just like the Halo, like the Master Chief Collection, bro. Like literally, they brought everything, like every single thing that was on those games previously was brought on.
I have it too. I got it free with my Xbox.
Yeah,
and I bought it.
Like I don't see why they didn't do the same thing.
And I believe
missed opportunity.
Yeah, and I think they even updated it or are re-updating it even more for the new Xbox Series. Yeah. And it's still going to be complete, like the full online player mode and all that stuff, because even on PC players are playing all sorts of mods and games, mini games that people can create from it. So, I mean, they're having a blast on PC.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is very... It's almost backhanded not adding the multiplayer to a full revamped game. It's a little weird on why they did that.
Very strange, dude. You said BioShock.
Yeah. But BioShock was understandable. BioShock.
Yeah, no one actually played the multiplayer. Like that's like if they removed the DLC for fucking
Infinite.
For the third one, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like Infinite. If they delete if they do a remaster and not include the fucking 2 DLCs, like what the fuck's the point? Because it literally ties everything together.
Yeah.
It's 100%. So stupid. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Anything else to add, dude?
Nah, dude.
No? All right. Where can people find you?
People can find me at Instagram at Leche Minuesa, or you guys can follow me and watch my Twitch at Techno Freak 95.
There you go. You could follow me everywhere on Instagram, Twitter, and Twitch at One Alpha Penguin. And follow the podcast on Instagram and Twitter at takeasip_pod. Go to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/takeasip, and like, follow, subscribe, hit the bell, do all the things.
All the buttons.
All the buttons. Drink some water. Go for a walk. And we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
See ya.